Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. That's what you're going to need to get the deal, to get the manager, to get the booking agent. You're going to need leverage. What's leverage, you ask? It's a strategic advantage. It's the power to act effectively. Whether you're a songwriter, whether you're a singer, whether you're an indie artist, leverage is the key to your music future. As a matter of fact, that's literally what the C.L.I.M.B means. Creating leverage in the music business. We created that because we want you to win. And those are the words of my good friend and my co-host, who's also happens to be a hit songwriter, Mr. Brent Baxter. Brent's written had hits, with Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Annabelle, Joe Nichols, and more. And he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, how you do business like a pro, and not only that, he actually connects you with the pros. You can find Brent really easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They help you find your sound, and they help you grow your audience so you can become the artist that everybody loves, so you can get paid. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S. There is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. This is kind of weird. I'm a little behind the curtains. We're actually in the same room.
I know, I'm liking it.
Which is odd.
I think we need to do this.
We're sharing a mic. It's like the guys in Oh Brother Where Art Thou singing on the same mic.
I got some boys downtown, said they'll pay us $10, come and sing in a can.
Here we go. That's somebody fine to pick and sing. We're the Soggy Bottom Boys here today, so that's really smelling coffee on our breath.
First of all, let's drop the title of the podcast, and then we got a little business to take care of.
Yes, we do. So, all right, today we're going to talk about, I get to drive the ship today, so we're going to talk about how to make your ballads more radio ready.
Ooh, that's good. All right, so before we get into that, let's remind you, if you haven't joined the C.L.I.M.B community, please do so. Go to Facebook, search for the C.L.I.M B community, ask to be let in. We'll let you in, and if you're mean little boys and girls or rude little boys and girls or obnoxious, we'll roadhouse you. Mm-hmm. But come on in. There's lots of great information there. People helping people. Those are the most wonderful people. We should write a song.
They are. That should
be. Leave a rating review. It takes a couple seconds. It makes us look legit to new people who are just discovering us for the first time. We're going to look at those reviews and decide whether or not they want to spend a couple minutes to discover us, and you can help with that. And we read all the reviews on the air, so we'll make you famous. Subscribe on your podcast player. The episodes automatically download, no issues whatsoever. And then finally, the big C.L.I.M B conference, first ever. Mm-hmm. It's filling up fast. I mean, it's like 3/4 of the way full already.
I think so.
We just had breakfast this morning with Chelsea Stallings and
Chris and Chris Oglesby and Shelby Kennedy. We all got together, had some coffee.
That's right. So talk a little bit real quick about what's going on with that.
Yep. So the weekend of May 5th, we're going to be heading out to Salt Lake City, Utah for the first C.L.I.M B conference. It's going to be me and Johnny, and it's also going to be Chris Oglesby from BMG Music, publisher extraordinaire. He helped sign people like Luke Laird and I think Wiseman and,
you might have heard of them.
Barry Dean, people that if you listen to country radio, you hear their songs. He was instrumental in finding those guys. Also, Shelby Kennedy, who runs TuneCore in Nashville, and so they are big digital distributors and basically how the new music industry is working. You guys want to be there. We're going to all be teaching and sharing what we know. We're going to be small groups, so you get a chance to actually get some FaceTime with everybody there, so with the pros, which I think is going to be super cool because there's some opportunities to actually play for the four of us to get your music heard, get some FaceTime, shake a hand. So I think it's going to be really cool, and plus we're just going to be fire hosing you with information.
Yep, and you know what some of the conversation we had this morning that they're going to cover is just really how to accomplish getting inside the writer circles that you want to get into remotely if you don't live in Nashville. And they're going to have some really good information on that. So, man, that is worth the price of the popcorn right there.
Right there. So it's a weekend of May 5th. You can find out details, take a look at the schedule, all that good stuff at theclimbconference.com, theclimbconference.com. You can register there, get all the details, and we hope to see you out in Utah.
That's right. All right, so talk to me about power ballads, Uncle Brent.
That's right. How to make your ballads more radio ready. So it seems like most every songwriter writes ballads. And by ballads, I don't mean story songs. I guess some people have some different vernacular for what ballads mean. So for me, ballad means slow song.
Yeah.
Slow
me
song.
too. Yeah.
Okay, so most writers write more slow songs than up-tempo songs, but most ballads never get recorded. Now, the few that do, most never get released as singles. But a few slower songs beat the odds and not only become hits, they become massive, like career hits, big hit singles. So today I wanted to discuss one big way that your ballad can beat the odds and have some success.
Okay.
Sound intriguing?
I love it.
Because if you're listening and you're a songwriter, you probably got more ballads than you know what's
9 out of 10, statistically speaking.
and that's part of the reason why most of them never get recorded is that we write so many of them.
Yep.
But knock math, right? They don't need as many of those.
Yep.
And mostly want mid tempos, up tempos, something fun to play at shows. But here we have all these ballads we're sitting on. So what can we do with some of these to give them at least a better chance? Best chance is to write a ballad with tempo, so it's not a ballad anymore. How do you write a ballad where it has the best chance? At a lot of BPMs. That's the number one way, but that's not really what we're talking about today. Okay, so assuming you keep it a ballad. So, okay, I'm a lyricist, right? So I don't write melodies. I leave that to folks who are really great at that. But I know from experience and observation that melody matters. Melody is a big deal. So I try not to be so caught up in like, oh, this is my fancy lyric, and it doesn't matter what you sing, singer boy, just sing.
Yeah,
just get the words right. Put the emphasis on the right syllable, and we're good to go.
There you go.
Yeah, well, that's not nearly good enough. So, but let me be clear about this. A song with a great melody and an average lyric will get cut a lot faster than a song with a great lyric and an average melody. So, as much as it pains me to say that as a lyricist, great lyric rarely will save a mediocre melody. But a great melody many times has been slapped on a mediocre lyric and become a hit. Now, what we want to do...
That's why pop music exists, by the way.
So much
studio, right?
Exactly. It sounds good.
What does that even mean? Yeah, it just rolls off the tongue, right?
Come together. Yep. I have no idea what that's about, but it sounds great saying it, and I'm in. Now, those are some classics, but of course, we're not the Beatles, we're not Phil Collins yet, right? We hope. So if we're outside the business, we're trying to get in, we want to do better. We want to have great lyric and great melody because that's your best chance to cut through. So don't take this as I can skimp on the lyric, because no, really you can't, because somebody out there you're competing against is not skimping on the lyric. So
that's
don't
right.
take that as, but what I'm saying is you can't skimp on the melody is the focus here. So don't be lazy on lyrics, but you definitely can't be lazy on melody. And so your melody has to fit your idea. It's pretty simple, but that's not always the case with writers. But you want your melody to fit the idea. And this is not to say that sad songs have to have sad melodies, and I'll touch on that later. But if your lyric is anger, your melody probably shouldn't be too sweet. And likewise, if your idea is like, here's a song for a tough guy, kind of like an Eric Church or somebody else, then the melody should be one that a tough guy artist could sing. So It needs to fit your thought, it needs to fit your brand. And so in general, and there are exceptions, if your song has a slower tempo, though, here's the big nugget here. It probably needs to have a bigger, more rangy melody. Mm-hmm. Basically, there just aren't that many slow songs with soft, nice melodies that get cut these days.
Right, that are like 5-note melodies.
Kind of lie there. Like she doesn't lie there anymore, and I'm sad. Okay, you put your song at a disadvantage a lot of times when you frame it that way melodically, where it's just a nice, soft kind of melody and a ballad and it's slow. So basically, if you're going to go ballad, go big. Yeah, that's the nugget. Take away this. If you're going to go ballad, go big in it. So I think a good example of this is "I Drive Your Truck." Yeah. The artist was Lee Brice. It was written by Jesse Alexander, Connie Harrington, and Jimmy Yeary. It's a sad, basically ballad. But it doesn't feel like a ballad because of the power that's in the chorus. I mean, Lee just sings his backside off. Oh, yeah. That chorus is really powerful. There's a lot of emotion in there. So if they had chosen to go the power ballad route, I don't think the song would have worked well. And I don't think it would have been a number one hit country single. And not only was this ballad a number one hit, it was named the CMA and ACM Song of the Year.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, a lot of ballads don't get cut, but some of the ones that do are massive if you get it right. And so that if you aren't familiar with Lee Brice's I Drive Your Truck, you need to pause, go listen, come back,
check it out
with a Kleenex, dry your eyes, blow your nose, because it's a great song. But it's about, from the point of view of a guy whose brother, is a soldier and, passed away. We're assuming line of duty, but didn't go into all that. But he was a soldier, and it's like, how do I deal with that loss and that grief? Well, I drive your truck, And so it's a very emotional idea, but it's not just a sad, slow, weepy ballad. It's like, this is a guy that the character in the song is a guy. He's not just weepy. He's still what's he doing? He's a man's man, and so was the guy, his brother that he's singing to, and so he's getting in a truck and tearing up a field and just taking his anger out on the gas pedal and the field. And so it's big in the chorus. It's really rangy. I don't know if it's super rangy, but it's a big. There's a lot of energy to it, and that's really the big thing. Is if you have a slower tempo, still you can put energy into it.
Yep.
If there's a lot of emotion there, which there should be, otherwise you shouldn't probably be telling us what you're telling us if it's not emotional.
Right.
Put that emotion in the melody. But they found, like that song, I Drive Your Truck, if the song had been like an up-tempo, it would have trivialized the subject matter.
Yeah.
If it had been like a 4 on the floor kind of, a tempo thing, it just wouldn't have fit with the subject matter. The guy, hey brother, I know you died, but I drive your truck. Yeehaw!
Yeah.
It's not that. It needed that meaty kind of melody and to slow it down and let it sink in because it is very emotional, but they amped up the power in it.
Yep.
And so they went ballad, but they went big because going tempo would have killed the vibe and killed the mood, so it had to fit. So where they couldn't ramp up the RPM or the BPM, they ramped up the vocal power and the melodic power.
Yeah.
So and if they would have gone the other way and said, okay, we're going to give it a soft, flat melody, I think the singer would have come across as too whiny, too mopey, too
It would have sounded like we owed him pity or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It would have been a pity party.
Yeah.
Whereas this was not the case. It was still very emotional. The guy's this is how he copes with his grief.
Yeah.
He's going out and driving his brother's truck so he can feel close to him. But it doesn't feel all whiny and mopey, and so the singer can sing it and still feel like we talk about so much. You think with the artist in mind and also the listener. For the artist, he goes, I can sing this and still have hair on my chest. I can be emotional, but I'm still a dude, and which fits my brand. And most artists' brand is they're not little sissy boys running around. It still fits for a guy like Lee Brice, who's a big dude, played football.
Yeah.
He's a guy. He's a man's man. This is a way he can get emotional about something, but still have that fit his brand. So again, if you go ballad, go big. And there's some other examples of this, like Carrie Underwood. Obviously, she's not a big burly man by any stretch of the imagination.
Not as far as we know.
Not as far as we know. Although some of her dresses are pretty short, so we have a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
So, anyways, some of her ballads. I mean, so many of her ballads. I mean, she's got the pipes and she ain't afraid to use them, right? So even
an amazing instrument.
Yeah, man. So like Jesus Take the Wheel. I mean, it's not a slow ballad. So a lot of these ballads are still kind of pushing ballad land too. They're
almost like
more,
towards mid-tempo.
Yeah, they're trying. So even the ballads, again, what's the best way to make a ballad more commercial? Add some BPMs.
Yeah.
So they push that, but Jesus Take the Wheel, a huge ballad. So many of hers that, they go into that power ballad land where you're not even sure, is that really a ballad? Is it not?
Yep.
Yes, that's how you write a ballad for her.
If you're asking that, then you're writing it right.
Exactly. A lot of, so pushing the beats per minute. When I say BPM, I mean like beats per minute, the tempo. They're pushing that as much as they can, and then like the melody to give it that energy. Brett Young, Like I Loved You, is one of those that's kind of more power ballady. Florida Georgia Line, Holy, is one of those big. It's not, it kind of moves along. It's not a tempo, but it's more ballady, like piano, laid back, especially for them. But then you just get that big kind of sing-along, easy-to-sing chorus, but it's more rangy.
Soaring, yeah.
It's soaring, so they're not yelling at you. but it's still a big soaring chorus. And I think, and there are some other examples the other way. I would say like Die Happy Man is way more chill. Marry Me, both by Thomas Rhett, way more chill. But if you look at most of them, it's that bigger.
Yeah.
It's that bigger stuff. I think it just gives you a better chance to be the one that breaks through. Because, man, we got so many ballads. You go out to writers' nights and stuff. You hear some music and
ton of them. Yeah, lots of ballads too. You know what I'm thinking of, which is an exception to the rule that you're talking about, is the Travis Meadows song that Jake Owen cut.
Oh,
We All Want What We Ain't Got.
What We Ain't Got, yeah.
But the lyric,
yeah, it's slow. It's slow, but it kind of gets up there, like in the bridge and some of that stuff.
That's right. There's big moments in there.
There's moments in this thing
for sure, but the lyric just hits
tears your face off.
Yeah. So that's one of those where that kind of like Miranda Lambert's House That Built Me. You know, the lyrics are just so slay you, and we're right where you stand.
Exactly.
Like it's great, and you know, you got to have done enough songs. You have written enough songs to know when you can get away with that, when you can't. Right?
Exactly. But even the Travis Meadows things to Jake Owen, they're big moments.
Yeah.
You go on a journey. There's a crescendo, and there's kind of the emotional climax of that, where it's still sparse. Like the arrangement of everything is sparse, but it's a bigger moment, and so it still goes big in spots. It's not big the whole way through, but it still finds those moments to break it up, give it some interest, give it that extra emotional oomph, something to stand out. Because I've been to so many writers' nights that it's ballad after ballad after ballad, and so the fastest way to stand out is to not write ballads, is to write some tempo. But if you're going to do it, and it's one of those like I Drive Your Truck or What We Ain't Got, like What We Ain't Got or The House That Built Me would not have worked as like a mid or up tempo. Right. It would have just sucked the soul out of a great lyric. That's right. So you got to let it sit, and some of them just need to be more ballad land. But they got to be one of those type songs too.
Let me ask you a question. Is there some credence to? I'm trying to remember the melodies in my head right now, so I might be stepping in a pile of doo-doo and sliding across the floor here. But is there some
great image, by the way? As a lyricist, I appreciate that. Go ahead.
You know me, I would have been more colorful, but we keep this podcast clean.
Thank you. Family show.
But so there, in production, right? I know like less is more, right? So you don't want to come off with the big everything full throttle, all 8 cylinders kicking. You want to build up to something, right? So you're starting sparse, and then that makes that moment. Like for instance, think about how sparse We All Want What We Ain't Got is. Just starts with the piano. I mean, they did it. That's the way Travis did it, and Jake purposefully told him, I'm going to try to cut this the way you cut. Yeah, like this is so good. Yeah. So, but that makes that chorus so much bigger, right? Or that wasn't the chorus; it's the bridge where they really go huge on it. Is there like are you purposely thinking about that? Like, I mean, I know I'm asking a lyricist, but are you thinking like melodically? Are you trying to stay less is more in the verses so that soaring? Because that's what makes a soaring.
Yeah, it's that contrast.
It's the contrast. That's what I'm talking about. Like I see, because you brought up writers' nights, and I see that I'm probably at 2 a week. You know what I mean?
God bless you.
Bouncing around. Yeah. Well, I mean, I got different artists I'm checking out, and
they're great. But everyone else,
movers and shakers. Yeah. If there's people there, I'm doing. You know, I'm out making relationships. This is about relationships. Right. I don't have a family. I get to do that. I get to get away with that. So, but man, there's a lot of people who don't get that, right? Yeah. Like they're coming in with a soaring verse, and then where do you go from there? If
home,
you're
back to the bar.
You're done, I mean, so there's the setting up that country. Less is more, right?
Yeah, you got to set up. I mean, you want, because a lot of those ballads that are just all kind of sit down, nice and soft. If you're just kind of half paying attention, which most people are until you give them a reason not to. You're lucky if they're half paying attention. If they can't tell that you've hit your chorus and that you're back into the verse, that is a problem. So it should announce, because the chorus should announce itself, even if you're not looking at the lyric sheet where it's labeled chorus. Yep. Because that's one thing I listen for when I do song reviews and that sort of thing, coaching when I meet with people. Like, I like to look at the lyric sheet, but I shouldn't have to be looking at it to know you've hit your chorus. Your melody should let me know, oh, we've hit something different. we've hit a different section. Whether it's a pre-chorus or a bridge or a chorus, it should announce itself melodically. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that contrast is important just for, just to keep it from being repetitive, just for interest.
Right. And atonal, it sounds really atonal if it's not distinctly different, right?
Yeah, it can just get boring.
Yeah.
And boring's not good.
No.
Here's your sign.
It's got to move somewhere. It's got to build.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if it's not, then are you taking them on an emotional journey at all? If your melody, a song needs to be an emotional journey.
Yep.
It may not be a story-wise journey, but at least emotionally, then there should be some sort of journey to it. So your melody should, form and function need to work together. So the function is we're going on a journey, an emotional journey. Then melodically, we need to go on some sort of journey where there's peaks and valleys and that sort of thing too. Yep. It just makes sense that you want to follow that.
That's right. But I think like with a ballad, here's the difference. Like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there are artists that aren't great singers, right? Right. That couldn't sing a rangy song like that, and they'll sing more up-tempo stuff. Mm-hmm. And there's some great songwriter tricks where that melody might be like 5 notes, that they're just going up and down on, but they're changing the chords underneath it, and they're doing production tricks with an up-tempo song that creates that movement, that creates that build. But on a ballad, kind of raw, and you really gotta. That melody has to be like you gotta put that in there to make that work, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I mean, because a melody that might work for, generally female singers, if we've heard them, they have a pretty good range. I mean, I think of like the Martina McBrides, the Trisha Yearwoods, the Carrie Underwoods, that kind of, like, they can sing. Right. Generally, if a female has a record deal, she can sing. Guys.
Unless it's pop.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's true. That's my country.
Nobody accused Madonna of being a singer.
That's true. She's really great at other stuff.
She's awesome at everything else.
Yeah. So, but generally, I'm thinking country here. Generally, they got pipes. Yeah. Guys, maybe not so much. They bring other stuff to the table. So you need to know who your audience is too. If we're writing for, and I think I've referenced this before on the podcast, like pitched a song for a male artist. They're like, oh, this is great. Lyrically, it's right in his wheelhouse. It's speaking to him and his brand, but he can't sing it. It's too rangy. Yeah. So you want to be careful about that if you're pitching for a specific artist or a specific brand of artist. Like, okay, if it's the tough guy thing I'm writing for a ballad, maybe I can't go that rangy because most of those guys aren't real rangy singers. Mm-hmm. They're not Lee Brice. He may be the kind of exception, but he's not like super macho tough. He's just a guy, Right. So that's something you have to be aware of when you dive in more deeply into that, but especially for your own artist stuff. If you're putting on the singer-songwriter hat, if you can do it, go big.
God bless, yeah.
Yeah, if you got the motor, step down.
Hit the gas.
Right, because not everybody can do that. But that's really what I want to talk about. And it's a simple thing, but if you go to those writers' nets so much, it's all just kind of right here. My hands are about 2.5 inches apart.
Yeah, and it never changes.
And it never changes, and it's not grabbing my attention. I heard a hit songwriter say one time that he used to hang out at the Broken Spoke, and he'd have his back turned. He's at the bar, and what he used to tell writers, unknown writers that were aspiring, just moved to town or whatever, and he's like, "Kid, your job is to make me turn around." Yeah. When you're up there singing. Yep. It doesn't have to be your singing, but it needs to be your song. Something needs to make me turn around from my beer and go, what's going on up there? Yeah. In a good way.
Wow. Wow. And make you, and blow your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
those are rare moments.
Yeah, it's hard because we hear a lot of songs.
At the writers' nights.
Yeah.
Although I will say, for anybody that's in Nashville, if you ever visit, Wednesday nights at Winners is they call the Freak Show. Mm-hmm. And that's like this curated writers' nights. Ashley McBride is from the Freak Show. They're all awesome. Like, if you want to see a killer writers' night, and get schooled on some stuff, man, that's where you want to go. Lala Deaton and Blue Foley, and oh man, they got some good ones there.
And you'll find on those, the more curated it is, the more tempo there probably tends to be.
Yep.
Funny how that works. Funny. The early round is generally on writers' nights. Early round, a lot more ballad heavy. Then you get the pros, a lot more tempo. Then you open mic, and it's back to Balladville.
Yep.
Huh.
I wrote this one about my grandma.
Look at there. What's the difference? Yeah. They don't stop the open mic people from playing tempo.
That's right.
They would like it. So, but like I said, if you're going to go ballad, try to go big.
Yeah.
Bring all that emotion out so you get more interest in it and there's more energy.
There's
a way to make your ballad not so balladish. But hey, you know what? There's something I want to let y'all know about too, though. I mean, this is for people who want to write more commercial stuff, right? So if that's speaking to you and you want to write more stuff, I have a cool opportunity coming up. In May, I'm hosting Freddie. Freddie's another community I have, Freddie.com, Frettie. But we're hosting another Freddie's Know the Row event with one of the writers of I Drive Your Truck, Jimmy Yeary, is coming in. Now, Jimmy's awesome. He's written number ones for Rascal Flatts, Kenny Chesney, Lee Brice. I mean, so Song of the Year, songwriter, having hits. He's awesome. He has a new single climbing the charts right now with David Lee Murphy and Kenny Chesney. Everything's going to be all right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's got one climbing right now. Heck, maybe number one by the time we hit the...
David Lee Murphy?
Yeah. He's got a new single out.
Really?
Best on the Bottle.
Yeah,
that put
guy.
out a single. Yeah,
I love
and
that.
Kenny's singing with it. It's great. So
Him,
Jimmy
man.
wrote that.
Right on.
Yeah, and so he's an awesome. He's
just made me
awesome. He's a
happy,
pro.
really happy.
Yeah, I know, it's good stuff. So anyway, what we're gonna do in the Know the Row events, it's your chance to sit down face to face online with a real deal professional multi-hit songwriter. And so basically, I kind of do a little interview at the beginning, kind of guide the conversation. So you got two pros talking about something I think is valuable to you, and then we open up to your questions. And it's on a video conferencing platform, so you're face to face. He gets to see you get to see him. You get to ask your questions. The cool thing about this, if you're a member of Frettie.com, Frettie, it's free. You can we'll send you the invite. You show up. It's one of your membership benefits. If you're not a member and you'd rather just pay the ticket price, you have that option. Honestly, the ticket price is more expensive than a couple months of membership, so it makes sense to join. But it's your chance to see it, and if you're a Freddie member and you miss out on the event itself, you can just watch the replay because it'll be on the Freddie archives for members area, and you get to watch it. We have Byron Hill in there, Chad Green in there, so it's pretty cool. But that's coming up in May, and you can get all the details about that by downloading the free ebook. So take my gift and get the information. If you go to giftfrombrent.com,
it doesn't get any better than
there
that.
you go. This
is the part where he puts you in touch with the pros.
Exactly. Gets face time with the pros. But go to giftfrombrent.com. You download my free ebook, Think Like a Pro Songwriter. Just tell me where to send it. Send it right to your email inbox. And then also that'll put you on the insiders list. And so you get the information about the upcoming event. And if you're listening to this in the future, we do these Know the Rows every quarter. So we'll have somebody new in 3 months, another hit writer or some industry pro. And so you'll keep abreast of all that stuff. So,
by the way, here's why that's really cool. Like, if you're a writer and you've got a song or two or a bunch that's ready, right? Then it gets you the opportunity to get in front of a publisher. And we were just talking.
Yeah, that's
this
our
morning.
play for publisher. This is like a Q&A, like you pick Jimmy's brain.
But I'm saying, like, you get to get in there and dig in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't feel like you're ready for that yet, you get access to just see like what level, where the bar's at. You get to see be a fly in the wall and see where that bar is set. You know what I mean? Because that's just huge. Like, you got to know like what level they're playing at and what he has to say. But the amount of wisdom that you can get from that's incredible.
Oh yeah, I mean, we had the one last quarters with Byron Hill, who wrote Born Country for Alabama, Full Hearted Member for George Strait, and all this stuff. So he and I sat down and with several other people in the Freddie community and outside the Freddie community, and I asked him some questions to get the ball rolling. Then people are just peppering him with questions. Yeah. And odds are you're not going to be able to get a hold of Byron or Jimmy and go, hey, can I take you to coffee and pick your brain? No, probably not. Right. But here's a chance for you to show up and ask them a targeted question and hear other people's questions and get the real deal from the real deal. Yeah. So it's a great opportunity. So just go to giftfrombrent.com, download the free ebook, and you'll get all the details you need. So even if you're listening to this a year from now,
it still works.
It still works. And we got somebody new coming up, and if you join Freddie, you can go back and catch the Jimmy one.
Boom. Well, there you go. Yeah. So the people who join Freddie now can see all the old ones?
Yeah, they can see it. Yeah, they have access to it in the members area. If you're already a member, you'll be getting your invitation link to join the event automatically. If you're not a member, if you join, you can go and catch Byron, you can catch Chad Green, you can catch other stuff we got on the membership site. And this Jimmy one to be added, and next quarter to be added to that, and they snowball. And
that's awesome, man. Well, killer, man. That brings us to the end of another amazing episode of The C.L.I.M.B. And once again, if you haven't joined the C.L.I.M.B. community, please do so. Go to Facebook, ask to be let in. We let everybody in. Just be good or we'll roadhouse you. Subscribe. It automatically will show up in your phone, and there's no need to wait for the marketing that we do to come out and tell you. It's just right there, and it tells you, hey, time to listen to me.
You raise your hand.
That's right.
Yeah.
Leave a rating and review. Take a second to do so. Let people know what you think. Be honest. Let us know what you think, and it helps us look legit to other people, and we will read it on the air. And if you're like within driving distance or flying distance of Utah on May 5th, come out to the first ever C.L.I.M.B. conference. Go to theclimbconference.com, and it's going to be Brent, myself, Chris Oglesby, who's a hit publisher from BMG, and also the president of TuneCore in Nashville, Shelby Kennedy. By the way, two of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet.
Super cool, yeah.
Like, super great. Like,
and they're fired up about doing this and meeting you guys. And
yeah, they really, like, we just had breakfast this morning with them and the person putting on the event, and they're, like, really keyed up.
Yeah,
and
like, how can we get into smaller groups so they're... fewer people sitting with me, but we can do it more time so I can get more one-on-ones. So they're excited about it.
Digging about it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, this podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.